Learn more about us at surrogatesonsanddaughters.com or call me, Jim, at 603-688-7399. That's 603-688-7399.
Hi, I'm Dr. Ryan Pratt, owner of 603 Chiropractic, and I believe that you are designed to be healthy. In fact, health is normal. Sickness is abnormal. Health is defined as optimal function, and function is regulated by your brain and spinal cord. Your spine is like your suit of armor for your spinal cord, and when it's not healthy, this can produce pain and various other symptoms. As a chiropractor, I've helped thousands of people go from unhealthy to healthy and pain-free by simply improving the health of their spine. If you're living with chronic pain, or if you feel like you're dragging yourself across the finish line every day, set up a consultation to learn more about how we can help. You can book online at 603chiros.com or call 603-935-5478 and set up your consultation today. Don't put your health on hold. It's your greatest asset. Visit 603chiros.com today.
The views and opinions of the following show do not reflect those of WSMN, its owners, and/or associates.
Lisa and Robyn are two fun friends diving deep into conversations where nothing is taboo. They believe in eating dessert before dinner and wearing the bikini. They're allergic to labels, authority, and cheap shoes. Currently, they're launching themselves through life being the good time, bold enough to take risks and inquisitively asking, what's next? They hail from New Hampshire, but they could be anywhere dressed in cute clothes. If they had to share a tombstone, it would read, "Curiosity killed these cats." Your hosts, Lisa and Robyn on the mic.
Good morning. Welcome to Lisa and Robyn on the mic on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. You can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live, live on Facebook, and live on YouTube. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. I'm actually good. I was having a great morning. I got some cute freaking shoes on, and so do you.
I do have cute shoes on.
And I feel like a court jester in my
poofy shirt.
In my poofy shirt.
What is the Seinfeld episode?
I got to go to the bank today.
Walk through the door sideways.
Hello.
I was thinking last week that we have to stop saying that we have ADD. And I have what we have. We have rapid fire digressions.
Ooh, rapid fire digressions.
RFD is what we have. So every time we're doing something and then we go off topic, it's not ADD. It's just a rapid fire digression, and we just have that.
I like that.
Rapidly.
RFD.
Yeah.
Well, because the other word is I used, I have my Tourette's moments.
Yes.
Sometimes
well, that's the swearing. I get that. I definitely get that. And I was thinking there are, I think Nate Bargatze said the two easiest places to get into a fight are prison and a marriage.
That's true.
And I was thinking that what are the two words that instantly start a fight between anyone? Do you know what they are?
Oh, excuse me?
You people.
Oh, yes,
is
you
that
people.
Is that not the biggest argument starter? It's the only one that might be above it is when you start talking about someone's mother. I don't know why the mother
that's
is.
true,
Yeah,
that's true.
That can start a fist fight pretty quickly.
Yo, mama.
Yeah, yo, mama's so fat.
Yo, mama. Yo, mama's so fine. So my stepdad we grew up from New York, and he would always say the two of yous. The two of yous, and always you people. So I grew up thinking, like, maybe that's a New York thing. But I think it is because a lot of people up here say you people.
But it's...
Automatically, it's a negative.
It automatically, I bristle against the you people. Whatever you people, it's like, you people? What kind of people is that?
I know.
Right?
Well, it's already set to be a negative.
Yeah.
Like, because when does anybody ever say you people in a...
positive way.
In a positive way.
I don't think anyone does. It's a fight starter right there.
Group you and move you.
Yeah, so your mama is starting a fight. I loved the little video. It was on Instagram. I don't know if it was on Facebook too, but there's a dog and a deer, and people are talking about their mothers.
Oh.
I know. You know what I did last
Yes,
night? You
yes.
better not bring my mother into this,
Yeah.
right? Anytime you bring someone's mother into it, it's just immediate
You're like, uh-oh.
fight starter.
What?
And then you people is, I think, right behind your mama.
Yes. So we have a date tonight.
Yes, we do.
We're actually going to go to the paint bar dinner, and so it'll be the three girls.
Yes, and I haven't done the paint thing in a while. I'm really excited for the paint.
Me too. Well, so we really wanted, I think the first picture that I showed you, we really wanted to do, I haven't even looked at it because Kayla sent it to me and we were on our way to the airport and I couldn't get it to download. So by the time we got on the plane, it still hadn't downloaded and then I forgot all about it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, my moment escaped me and then it was gone. And this morning I was like, oh, I don't know which one we're doing. But I'm like, it doesn't really matter.
doesn't
The
matter.
three of us are going to go
Yeah.
and have a good
We're
time.
going to have a great time. And I do love painting. I have a number of canvases and I have paint downstairs and paintbrushes. And I keep saying I can't start painting until I finish up some projects because then that becomes its own project. But
Yes.
I love to paint.
Well, so last year, Chris had gotten me paint sets, like oils, watercolors, acrylics, like a whole setup, all these brushes, all these canvases. I had a little spot set up in the great room. I'd put some classical music on and the perfection in me, like I'm a detail person and so I'm like, I want to do this and I want to do the trees, and I forced myself to do an abstract
Yes.
because I needed to color outside of the lines, and I'm like, why can't you just go? Why couldn't I just get into a flow state and just let it be? But my hand still wanted to make a flower no matter what.
What happened?
And then I'm like, it doesn't look.
Well, you can do abstract flowers in.
Yes, but still, I haven't gotten to that point where I can trust myself because I still want it to be good. And so then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go.
I'm going to give you a little tip.
YouTube. What?
You can continually paint over the same canvas.
Oh. Just what you do, like an oil or whatever color your other paint you're gonna do.
Yeah.
Just stay in that paint.
Yeah. And the other option is you can paint white over everything. And if you're doing thick paint, you'll have the texture behind it. But if you're just doing regular acrylics and you're making it quite flat, you can, it's always, what does Bob Ross say? Happy little trees, or there's no mistakes.
A little wisp here and a
Yeah.
little wisp here, and next you've got a bird, and I'm like, how did you do that?
Yeah. I think one of the, so to me, photography is perfection. It's getting the light right. It's getting the, I don't know how many times I have to argue about lighting. You know,
Yes.
it's getting the light right, because the photograph is nothing but capturing light.
Yes.
You are capturing an image, but it's only because you're capturing light.
Yes.
So
I
to me,
agree.
there's such a perfection in photography that I give myself the space that there's no perfection in painting. And
That's
that has
true.
made painting very pleasurable for me.
Well, my sister, my niece, and my mom, they all knock out masterpieces of like, wow, my sister's actually putting one together. She's doing our house, and it's really pretty. But my mom's done a couple. I'm like, I set my mom's painting like right here, and I'm like, I can do that. I see the lines. So as somebody, like, I take something complicated, especially when I'm drawing. I'm not a natural drawer. So I have to break it apart. And like if I'm looking at the roof line, I'm like, okay, that's just one line there. And then where's that next line? And so I get too focused on that. And I'm like, that's not art. That's stress. Like,
Well, the other thing you can do is there's a certain kind of marker, I have them at my house. You draw it first, and then you paint over your own lines.
oh, I could do that. I could
Because
do that.
drawing is a very meticulous thing, and perspective and point of view and all of that stuff. So if you're new to painting it, it might be easier to draw it on the canvas first in a marker that's going to be the color, and then you can just paint over your own lines.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
That is a good idea.
And I used to paint all the time. Like for a while, I painted all the time. I will tell you that my mother bought me a canvas, and I painted Bob Ross painting on, I think it's Saturday morning. But I wasn't allowed to paint in my house, so Bob Ross was on a black and white television in the corner that's this big, because that's the size TVs we had. black and white this big, Bob Ross over there. I can't see whatever colors he's using. I have to
Right.
listen to Van Dyke Brown or
Oh,
whatever.
that's
And then
yeah.
I'm in my back porch, like looking around the corner so that I can see what he's painting. And so I painted this one canvas because I got the canvas for Christmas. I got the paints for Christmas. I got the easel for Christmas. And then I'm like, okay, my painting's done. Let's go buy me more canvases. And she's like, how many of these are we going to have? And I'm like,
As many as I can produce.
I'm like, we have a 3-decker with hallways. Like, we can completely cover the hallways head to toe in paintings.
We can line all the walls in the bathroom, the garage, the hallways, the
But
kitchen.
I loved that she was like, I bought you all this stuff for one.
Yeah, no.
So I didn't paint from that time, that one canvas I painted, and then I didn't paint again until my late 30s.
For real?
For real.
Do you still have that? Do you still have that painting?
No, it was in that house. It lived in the 3-decker on one of the walls. Hall walls.
Hall walls.
Yeah.
Hall walls.
So it's just so funny because then, the angry adult in you's like, I'm going to paint the same picture and just mail it to her in 100 different sizes. She'd be like, why do I keep getting this picture?
Well, so when my kids were little and they were doing painting, a lot of times it was on the canvas that has the board on the back.
Yes.
So those are easy to put in a frame. When you have the canvases, you got to get the frame right and blah, blah, blah. I've got a couple of the kids' artwork that I put in frames, and I'm like, when I go back, Kayla has one. I think she painted like a green background, and it's like a pinkish red rose, and then it just has the stalk coming down. It's abstract and it's beautiful, and it's by a 5-year-old, and it's right outside of her door going into her bedroom, and I'm like, I love that.
So I never, even when I painted, I never framed mine. I just took the canvases and put them up as canvases. I just painted the sides, but I never put mine
yeah.
in frames. I never thought to.
Oh,
actually.
I'll have to show you some of my sister's work. They put them in, and a lot of times they'll go to like consignment shops, antique shops, and all that stuff, and get frames,
Yeah.
for dirt cheap, and then they're gorgeous.
Yeah, and then it does solidify the picture a little bit more, I think. than
Yeah,
having in a
it
frame.
makes it pop. It gives it that finished look.
And we're done. Yeah,
Yes.
it gives it the we're done. It's in a frame, we are done. We're not touching this canvas. Because that's
And we're
one
out.
thing I can do is like keep touching. And that's how I know you
Yes.
can, because I've touched too much. And then I'm like, all right, I put white all over the canvas and I started again because I was like, I went one too many.
Yes.
I couldn't let it be. It's really funny because I think Hitler tried to go to art school.
Oh, that's right. He did.
And then the
did.
rejection of not getting into art school. And then we have World War II.
Yeah. Do you think it actually?
You think
was?
that leap? Do you think it's the leap from rejection of art school to World War II?
It could be. Do you know? Actually, I was looking. I gotta move my pillow.
Get comfy.
Okay. I gotta move my pillow. I was reading that.
And I'll do this real quick first. You're listening to
Oh, yeah,
Lisa
do
and
that.
Robyn on the mic on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. And you can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live. And you can check us out on Lisa and Robyn on the mic on Facebook, as well as YouTube, same handle.
So, fun fact.
Fun fact.
Actually, I just thought it was cool. We were talking about rejection, and so I just was like doing a little research, and I found that scientists put people in an MRI machine, and they told them to think about a recent rejection, and it said that what they discovered that the areas of the brain are the same areas of the brain are activated when we experience physical pain.
Ooh.
So they talk about physical, emotional pain.
Manifesting itself physically
Yeah,
in
and
the
actually,
brain.
so our body chemistry, and I've posted on our page. I saw like nobody saw it, but it was the lobster. It's the little blurb from Jordan Peterson when he talks about how
The hierarchy of lobsters.
Yes, the hierarchy, but how we are, how many billions of years, like 20 to 50 billion years separated on the food chain from lobsters, and how our brains
wow.
still, our brains are still similar when we get rejection, when we are rejection or defeated, and the serotonin levels are the same in lobsters as it is in humans. And
So that's amazing. So when you said the rejection and defeated,
Yes.
Do you think the two go hand in hand? Do you feel defeated when you're rejected?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you feel a loss.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you feel.
No, that's great. I never put the two together, the defeat and the rejection together, because I think of defeated as a more permanent state than I think of rejection, but I'm a salesperson. So I talk to a lot of people and not, there's a lot of back and forth before there's an actual sale. So maybe I don't equate the two together.
So maybe like defeated, so maybe you have more of an emotional attachment to rejection versus defeated.
Oh, I think defeated is a bigger emotional.
Oh, you do?
For me, defeat, yeah. Defeat means you lost. Where rejection is that rejection, there's another rejection and another rejection and another rejection.
True. I was thinking about
Until
it from like a game.
Yeah, yeah.
I was thinking about like from a game. You played your best, or in sales, defeated, you got a hard no. Rejection, to me, rejection feels like it's something me personally that I did, is why you're pushing me out. So it's still a loss. Both are still a loss.
Yes. But I didn't think of defeat on that same page, I'll say.
I didn't either. Well, I mean, I guess I was associating it because it did come out, but I didn't think about it. I was thinking, a defeat is, it's a loss. In sales, we have to condition. You have to condition yourself to take those no's, so you don't take it personally. So I think for me, I have less emotional attachment to defeat than I do rejection.
And from playing sports, I guess it's a long time since I've played sports. But sports teaches defeat. Like defeat, you were defeated in a game, but you're not defeated in general because you're going to get up and you're going to play another game tomorrow.
Right.
Or you're going to play another game next week. I think that's why sports for children, especially team sports, are so important. In addition to building a community and learning to work together and working with other people towards a common goal and physical exercise and all of that, I think sports, because it teaches that win and lose, but that the loss isn't permanent.
Right. Yeah. And so that's where I feel like rejection is personal. And maybe that's where we're conditioned. And
maybe that's why it feels like pain.
Yeah. Well, and I think that I was going to say, when you're talking about kids playing sports, and not everybody deserves a trophy.
Not everyone deserves a trophy.
They don't. I don't care how you do it. But I mean, on a side note,
yeah,
I have not everybody, what we should be better about is teaching our children how to handle loss better. Because it's everywhere. It's everywhere you turn. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person, or it just means
it's supposed to fuel you to work harder so you can be better next time.
Yes. Yeah.
At least in the sports analogy.
Well, our daughter is, applying to medical schools, and some of them are, she wants to stay in New England, so she has a bigger challenge to overcome. It's harder to get in because the schools are smaller. They take less people. I think it's Connecticut or Rhode Island that she was applying to, and everybody in that state gets first dibs first, and they only have 50 seats.
Oh.
So, I mean, it's cutthroat. It's brutal. But she's been so driven and so motivated internally. She's marked her path out, and she's got milestone markers. So she hasn't really felt rejection a lot. And in the areas where she has, like sports and things like that growing up, well, there have been some bumps, but it's not a direct, maybe
blow
I should
to
say
your ego.
It hasn't been that big of a hit to the ego. And I kept saying, Kayla, but look at the facts here. It's a small school. It's just an indicator. It's not saying that there's something wrong with you. It's just that it's not a good fit. And I said, if you believe that that's what you're going to do, then you believe that your path, it will find you. It will find you when you're ready for it. That's not a good fit. Okay. all no's and all rejection's not bad rejection.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's saving us from something that we think we want.
Well, think about it from the standpoint of you're going after something that you want. She wants her life to look a certain way because she wants a certain career. I remember that feeling. Like, this is what I envisioned for myself.
Yeah.
So that I could get up and go to work and not be miserable. Right? I like this. I wanna get up and do it every day. All of that. So when that, to me, if the way you imagine your future is changed because of something like that, I think the blow is harder to the ego because it was your vision, it was your plan, it was your dream.
Well, it's the thing that you covet the most. It's your most precious thing.
Yeah, so it's like
so
the death of a dream.
Yeah, and any attack against that is a threat. And it's, but my question is, why do we allow it when we get rejected? Why do we immediately go to the place where I'm not good enough?
I think I'm not good enough is the biggest tattoo on our hearts. I think it's the one that all wounds touch that one wound.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
Because I think it's one, I know I struggle with it. I know everyone I know struggles with it.
yeah.
Unless you're a narcissist where you just think you're amazing all the time, and I don't know how you manage to think that when you go through life. Like,
As
how
you
do you
sleep,
be
drool, and you know.
yeah, how do you think you're amazing? All of the time. Like,
Yes.
all of the time. There's nothing that and I'm impressed when people can have that kind of armor to themselves emotionally, and that their ego is protected that way.
Yeah, but do they really? Do they really?
I don't know.
I think it could be a good front because I don't. How can you live in that state all the time? You can't tell me that there's not one human being that goes to bed at night and doesn't have some kind of fear of being inadequate or not being worthy. Because I think the more that you posture,
The bigger it is.
The bigger
You're
it
just
is.
hiding it under more and more layers.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you put all these things, it's a lot of deflection.
Yeah.
You know, I don't, instead of just owning it, I think instead of like hiding in the dark or hiding it, we project outward.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what somebody said to me, I think I've said it a few times on the radio. One of the things that hit me the hardest is when I'm looking at somebody and like I can get to the point where if we're in a conversation and it starts getting agitated and or not even agitated, how you're responding to me has nothing to do with me. It's all and how I'm responding to you, 9 times out of 10 it doesn't have anything to do with you either. It's I've either hit a trigger point, I've touched something that is an ouchie. And so we're responding from that place.
Yeah.
And being aware of, like, we're always responding from the wound. And I mean, there's times I've said to Chris, he'll, like, we're just, you know, we're just talking. Sometimes we're joking around or banter or something, and I'll say something, you know, I have a tendency to be a little bit sarcastic, but more times than not, I think it's genius and it's funny as crap. So that's why it comes out of my mouth.
Yeah.
And I don't mean it personally. I'm just like, oh, that was a good one.
Yeah.
If I were doing stand-up comedy, that one definitely would write that one out of my book. So that's the place I'm coming from. And so I've been starting to, like, I want you to see me for who I am now, not who I was 5 years ago or when we were, you know, 10 years ago. We go back to old traumas all the time. And we're speaking from the wound. Not the scar. And so what's helped me in discussions, especially where it's going to get heated or I think that it's going to get heated, I'll just say, you know, I've been intentional with my actions and my words. How they respond, it's not me. That's not mine. That's not mine to own. And the more angry and aggressive that they get, at me, I'm fighting that.
Is it
feeling of-
rejection? It's the feeling of rejection.
I'm feeling of rejection and inadequacy, and I've done something, I've done something wrong, and that hurts because you're not seeing me. You don't see my heart. And what's funny is I said, was it last time on our show? I think we all want to be seen.
Yes.
And so we're
And
watching.
understood.
Yes. We're watching Blackbird. Have you seen that?
Mm-mm.
It's Larry Hall, serial killer.
Okay.
And it's good. It's not, I forgot, maybe it's one season, it might be two, I don't know, limited series. And he's in there and he says to the guy, he goes undercover to go into prison to get him to confess, to see if he can find out where the bodies are. And the killer, even in his state of chaos, he says to him, we all just want to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
We all want to be heard. We all
want to be loved.
Yeah. We all want to feel like, oh, I matter.
Mm-hmm.
Chris and I have been having, discussions about it, and actually in the last 2 weeks,
Okay. And then I'll ask you.
he
sometime.
stopped and he has said, you're right. Let's stop right here and reset.
Mm-hmm.
And it's taken me a few minutes because, I'm
I'm ramping up.
apparently
It's like there's a ride at Disney that it goes from 0 to 60 in so many seconds, and that's the push, and then you start spinning
and
around.
they do Aerosmith to that one too.
I start here, Dr. Bruce Banner, it's the Hulk ride, and I get to here in under 3 seconds. I can go from 0 to whatever in under 3 seconds.
Yes.
You are listening to Lisa and Robyn on the mic on WSMN, 1590 AM, 95.3 FM, and you can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live. And you can watch us live on Facebook and YouTube under the same handle. I was thinking, all right, so I see it right there. I have heard this on some podcast. I can't remember who, I know who said it, but I can't remember who they were quoting. But it's a psychological term that says we have a God-shaped hole in our heart that we're constantly trying to fill.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering, is that why rejection, now that I know that the MRI shows that it's the same brain pattern as
Physical pain.
that makes sense because being rejected feels physically painful as well as emotionally painful. But I'm also thinking, does our desire for meaning and love, is that hole-shaped, God-shaped hole in our hearts too? And does rejection just make us separate?
Yes. Oh boy. Well,
We got books.
I brought you something.
You brought me a book.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So,
I love books.
talking
The little
about
room, the
talking
little
about
blue room.
this is one of the ladies that she went away for like 7 years.
Went away to prison?
No, she
Oh.
just went away. She like secluded
Oh, okay.
herself for like 7 years, I think.
Yep.
And it's funny how when you are trying to raise your vibration, it's funny how all of these things align.
Yeah.
So I just finished a book, and I opened this book, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to go check this out.
Mhm.
We're talking about rejection, and I had seen it in I wrote it back here.
Okay.
A couple of,
How do you deal with rejection?
Yep. Like a topic, how do you deal with rejection? So just as a thing, when we were talking about, I don't know, facts and feelings, or
You were talking about something.
I don't know what it was. So, and I was just starting to think about that. We were talking about,
So does social media make us feel rejected all the more? Is that why?
yes,
Because
I think so.
we put out something that we think is amazing and there's only 2 hearts, 2
Yeah.
likes?
Yeah. Resistance. When we were talking about resistance.
Yes, okay.
Well, rejection is a lot of times, depends on what your purpose is for
Mhm.
using Facebook or using
Mhm.
social media. But I mean, come on. It's hard not to say like, oh, I want to go and check and just see if anybody, because I think what you're doing too,
Is looking for a response.
validation, but you're
Mm.
also looking for connection.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so a lot of times when you I know I'm going a long way to answer your question. I think a lot of times when we sense that rejection is we are always looking for connection. So I had read this. Now my brain's going 100 miles a minute. And when we talked about, hey, let's talk about a little more about the God-shaped hole. Some of the stuff that we talked about on our show last week with Megan, and resistance and things, how things, a vibration and your energy, all of these things. And I had said to you about what if our muse, what if we all have a muse inside of us, but what if our soul is the muse? So I start thinking about that, and thinking about how energy, and God is energy, God is light, whether you want to call it God, the universe, creator, energy, your source, your higher power, whatever it is. What if that is the power source? So whatever we call it, and that's what we were talking about. What if it is the power source? And when we get closer to that, and we're aligned and have joy, then we're closer aligned to that power. So, that's what I had been thinking, and I've been chewing on. So I opened this book. And right in
Page 1.
Actually, it's not. It's still
Page 2. It's introduction.
It's still in the Roman numerals. Page 16. I can read in Roman numerals.
I can read in Roman numerals.
So certain ones.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was the
50
4
or
years of
100.
Latin.
Yep.
Thank you, Miss Scott, my Latin teacher. So I opened the book. I'm reading through the intro, and a lot of times I don't read the intro. I kind of will just glance through it. We forget about how the laws of energy, perfect health, and abundance really work. This has caused our lives to result in struggle, hardship, disease, war, and poverty. When we are disconnected from our God, our lights, our source, our higher power, whatever, we create chaos, separation, and lack. And I was like, bam, that hit me. And it was talking about harmony and vibration and how it feels. And I gave the example of the ballpark. When everybody comes together and you can feel when everybody is on that same vibration. So that's what I've been thinking about here, some of the notes that we were taking. And then last night, Jonah was telling us you got to watch the show. You got to watch the show. It's called The Midnight Gospel.
Okay.
It's, I said to him, is this like a trumped up version of SpongeBob on acid? He's like, no.
And you're like, I'm not watching the right, am I not getting the right lesson?
Well, he puts it on, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be a talk, and this is going to be something cool. And it's all cartoon characters, and there's a guy, or it's a human being in like a bodysuit in a fish tank, and there's all these, he sends out like his camera. It's like a podcast. The Midnight Gospel is a podcast, and the message is like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I actually had to like stop watching the TV and just look away from it because all the cartoon and stuff, I'm like, I'm not listening.
Yeah.
So I looked away from it, and then I started listening to it. I was like, pause it. I went downstairs and I read him what I said about the soul and divinity last night. And I'm like, how that is alignment, and how when you actually start looking for stuff and you start, then you find it. Like finds like. You know, how many yellow cars are out on the road. Then all of a sudden you start seeing they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Because you're raising your vibration, you're raising your conscious awareness of it. But I was like, wow, we just had this on the show. I sat down to read a new book. It's right there. It's already in my notes. And now it's showing up at 11 o'clock at night on a cartoon. Like, that you can't ignore. I just feel like, yeah.
Well, rapid fire digression.
Yeah, that was me.
No, me right now. I finally saw The Matrix. Like
What'd you
a
think?
week or two ago. Good. I've seen, bits and pieces of it, but I never saw the movie from start to finish.
Yes.
But the idea that we are the energy source, you know, for the future, and sometimes I think, would you take the red pill to know the truth, or do you want to be in the world?
Well, you know, why not both?
Well, you have
Because
to
I
stay
feel
because
like
you can't be awake if you're asleep.
Yeah, so I would probably take the red pill because I feel like that's where my journey is right now. I think my journey is the journey that I'm on right now is taking the red pill. I don't want to be asleep. I mean, I do because in some ways.
It's easier. It's
Well,
definitely
Chris is like-
easier.
When we first met, Chris is like, well, you live in such a bubble.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to get you out of your bubble. And now he's talking about, let's be in a bubble. I'm like, dude, I was on that path. I was on that path 15
I was trying
years
to keep
ago.
myself completely immune from the outside world.
Right. And then when I want to go out, I'll go out into it. But
Yeah.
I want to have a place. I want my bubble so big that I can do all of my living inside of there. And then just go out when I have to. But what about you? Would you take the red pill?
Oh, absolutely. You can't even ask a question at the beginning of a show. So we started watching True Detective. So we watched season 1. I know I'm behind, but we watched season 1 and I loved it. I loved the show. Then season 2, I was like, I don't like it at all. There's too many characters. There's no question. I don't know what I care about. So then we moved up to season 4, and the question is what happens to the scientist. I'm going to watch to the end because I need to know what happens to the scientists.
So do you think it's a good show?
I don't think all seasons are equal.
So some are better.
I really enjoyed the character development of the first season. Even though I was like, where is the storyline going? I was letting it go wherever it went, but they really did good characterization.
Oh, that was that's Woody Harrelson
and Matthew McConaughey.
Yes.
I thought they did a fantastic job.
I only saw bits and pieces because Jonah was watching it, and I was like, oh, we gotta
It's
go back
worth
to that.
watching. And so the second one had Vince Vaughn, a bunch of
like
different people, and I really like Vince Vaughn, but I didn't know there were so many characters and there were so many storylines, but I didn't know what's the central question. What do I care about? So I was getting bored, and now I'm at the point where I used to be the person who read the book. If I opened a book, I was finishing it. If I started a movie, I was watching it. If I started a series, I was watching it. And now there's so much. If it stinks and it doesn't catch me, I'm done.
Yeah.
So I will give a book a couple of times because I'm a mood reader. So sometimes I'm like, I must not be in the mood for this. Let me put it down and I'll pick it back up later.
Yeah, I'm a mood
But if
reader
I
too.
can't get it through it twice, I'll give it like 50 or 75 pages. If I can't get through it on the second time,
Yes.
then I just give it to somebody else. Like somebody else will want to read this, but
Yeah.
it's not me. And the same thing with shows now. I'm not
I'm
just
not
because I
committed to it,
started
yeah.
it doesn't mean I'm finishing it. If it doesn't keep me, it doesn't keep me.
I'm better about not finishing something than I am coming in and watching something in the middle.
Oh yeah, I'm not watching in the middle.
Well, we were down in North Carolina for the weekend, and Friday night we just needed a little bit of like, just to decompress, just to
a little
numb
bit of veg
out.
time.
And so I was like, yeah, I just want to watch something. I want something else to occupy my mind than my thoughts right now. And he's like, well, we'll put on a show. And we're old schooling it. Like, you got to go to, like, I think it's number 2 is the guide, and you got to wait for it to scroll. And I was like, man, we're like 25 minutes away for something else starting. And I don't think I want to wait 25 minutes. So he put on a Will Smith movie. And it took me a while to get into it because Chris can pick up a show and watch from the middle of it. I'm like, I can't do that.
Yeah, like what's the backstory? What's happening here? What's going on?
So I think there's a few. But I was the type of person, like, I'm not going to read a book. I have to finish it. I have to know where it ends.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, my time is more valuable. In the end of it, I want to know right now what it's like. But it really isn't going to matter a week from now. It's not going to change my life. It's not going to change my opinion. So I let it go.
Yeah, because it is entertainment,
Yes.
for lack of better, But books have been entertaining, but they also have really affected my life. Like, I still remember the book The Good Earth like I read it yesterday.
Oh,
It
yeah.
still affected me so much. You are listening to Lisa and Robyn on the mic on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. You can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live and on Lisa and Robyn on the mic on Facebook and YouTube. It's Thursday, every Thursday, 10 to noon, Eastern Standard Time is when we're live. Like The Good Earth, I was reading some trashy V.C. Andrew novel, and my mother must have said, like, all right, I'm going to give you a book. So she gave me The Good Earth, which is about this young Chinese woman in China, and she's a farmer, and she gets sold to her new family, and every 5 minutes I kept coming out and been like, this book is terrible. This girl is being sold as cattle, you know, and she was just like, keep reading. And then I'm like, oh my God, the locusts have eaten all of the food. Like, this is horrible. The whole book was, this is horrible. But reading it when I read it, which was either 12 or 13, it gave me such an appreciation for being a female born in this time period in this country to such a degree that I almost think that book made me understand that in America, a woman can start a business. She can do whatever she wants. Like, we have freedom. We are valued as the same as men.
Yes.
Where in other cultures and other time periods, that wasn't always the case. You know, and I know that there's this overarching theme that, oh, women are always held down and all of that other stuff. But I actually think poverty holds everybody down.
Yes.
Man or woman. And that's why I think the capitalist in me exists, because I think poverty is the largest disadvantage, even over sex and gender. I guess in certain countries that's going to be different. In certain societies or cultures that may be a little bit different. But we sit in the United States here, we sit in New Hampshire, and I definitely feel like poverty is the worst thing here.
I think it is our biggest roadblock.
It's our biggest roadblock. It's not if you identify as male, female, or other. It's not that. It's poverty, because poverty, when you look at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you have food and shelter, and then you start going up. You can't be enlightened if you don't have food squared away. You can't be enlightened if you don't have, if you're worried about if your child is going to have enough food, if your child is going to have their right medications. Do you care about the planet?
Right.
Do you care if there's plastic in an ocean, if your kid doesn't have its inhaler and can die at any minute? No, you don't care about that.
Right.
Why? Because you have other more pressing, immediate problems than these bigger ones.
You're still in survival.
You're still in survival.
Well,
so I think poverty is the biggest
but do you
problem.
also think that... Do you also think that the mindset, so even if you're in... do you think that your mindset helps contribute to that being held down mindset? Because you think about when
because there's that book by that slave, not Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius was not a slave. He was an emperor. But in my head,
like
it's the same time period. Mark?
Which one?
Bob? Yeah. But
Earl. Just call him Earl.
I have the book in my house. I can't think of the name on the top. And it's right next to the book of Marcus Aurelius. That's why I'm saying that name.
Oh, yes.
But it's the you're a slave in your mind, you're free in your mind, was all of his writings, because he was a slave. And I know without the name of the person, this isn't helpful, but the point about the mindset is, if you feel, no matter how much money you have, if you feel a prison in your mind, the money doesn't help you.
Right.
But I do believe there's some element, no matter how great your mind is, if you don't have enough money for food and you don't have, we're all not Benedictine monks running around. And that's another thing about enlightenment. Oh, it's great, you sequester yourself off and you don't have to deal with any people. You can be really enlightened and calm and peaceful and harmonious, right? But the minute you add in relationships... I think I'm
going to take a sabbatical to like Fiji and...
The Bahamas. I've been wanting to go to the Bahamas.
I want to go to the Bahamas, but I think it's like really populated, isn't it? Like, isn't it crowded?
It might be.
Maybe.
There's all those little islands.
I want to do Barbados. In the Caymans.
The Caymans are beautiful.
I want to do the Caymans.
Caymans
I've
are
never been there. My mom's been to the Caymans.
The water, they don't even have to Photoshop the water. The water is that.
Yes. I
You
know.
it's that see-through. It's so deep blue, but it's so see-through at the same time. It's phenomenal.
I know. You can't stop staring at it. Like when we were in Aruba and down at Baby Beach, and I'm like, wow. Even right off from our house that we were, I'm like, I could just sit here and stare at it all day. How does it get to be that pretty? Like, all water should be that way. And now they're like, hey, do you want to go to Nag's Head? And I'm like,
No.
I want to swim in pond water? No. Not to knock Nag's Head, but
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's beautiful.
Well, it's really funny because
great memories.
I know that everyone loves the Cape Cod. And I went to the Cape when I was younger, but it was not my favorite place. But Ogunquit, to me, is what the Cape is new. I know why everyone loves the Cape now, because now I love Ogunquit. But it reminds me of the Cape, only newer buildings.
Yes. Yeah, Ogunquit would be the same. I love the Cape just because...
I'm one of the very few who doesn't love the Cape.
Well, I love it because when I first moved from Virginia up to New England, Cape Cod was my place. I'd never been, I'd never moved anywhere. And gosh, it's just funny how things just show up, and then you actually have an awareness and you're like, is there something to that? I've always wanted a Porsche. I've always liked Porsche. And the reason why I like Porsche is because they don't change their body style. Like, I loved Saab when they had the little hatchback. I loved the Isuzu Trooper when they were boxy and square. I loved the Volvo, the wagon.
Yes.
Because it was boxy and square, and I loved the Porsche. I loved the headlights. I've always loved it. Not that I was a big car person growing up. So when I decided to take this leap to go be a nanny and to move from everything I've ever known, the guy that I was a nanny for picks me up in a cherry red 911 Porsche, like an old, just beautiful. And I'd never seen the city before. I'd never been to a big city. I mean, D.C., but that's different. We were on a field trip. You're on a bus. You don't see it coming from, you don't see the aerial view coming in and the big tall buildings like that. And I was like, oh, boy.
Yeah, a different world.
I'm a long way from home.
Yeah.
But him picking me up in that, and I loved the beach. I was at the beach. I didn't know anything, and I'm like, well, if I'm going to totally uproot my life.
This is a good life to uproot, too.
Yes, and I went in the fall, so none of the crowds were there. So I would drive, and this was back before GPS was, so all the service roads and the back roads, you could just drive, and I just explored the Cape, and I would go and walk the beaches, all the different beaches, and so it's very nostalgic for me, and it was kind of me coming into my own and realizing that I am braver than I think I am. I am stronger than I think I am. So when we took the kids and rented an Airbnb, we all took the bikes. We would go, so we'd spend the day on the beach playing games. At night after dinner, we'd all ride the trails and go get ice cream. And so now we've got like an entourage going, because we've got, everybody brings their friends. And so I think about, it's not so much the Cape.
It's a time and a place.
Yes, so to me, going back, and the kids still talk about it, the kids have been to Bora Bora, Fiji, they've been to Europe, they've been to lots of places in the Caribbean, Canada, blah. They've been all over, and the Cape is still one of their favorite places because of those memories. So I think that's where the nostalgia comes from the Cape from a lot of people.
Yes, yeah, like it's their first experience with that type of place. And I know it is iconic in so many ways. I also don't like the movie Forrest Gump, and I also don't like the Beatles.
I
have a lot of I have a lot of unpopular opinions. Like, everybody loves this one thing, and I'm like, huh?
What?
Why? I don't understand Forrest Gump.
Yeah,
I get it. I understand it. Great acting. I watched the movie once, and I'm like, all right.
I don't need to see it again.
I don't need to see it again, and people love it and quote it, and I just.
Well, it's the same thing as Disney. Like, I don't know that I could be a gung ho
I'm
Disney fan.
person.
A Disney fan? Like,
maybe Universal Studios more than Disney now, but so I like Universal Studios.
well,
I like all
Disney.
the rides.
I like Disney, but I'm not going to wear a Mickey Mouse T-shirt.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm not going to buy Mickey Mouse. I'm not going to go and I'm not going to wear the ears.
Right.
I might wear Minnie's dress because that's cute.
Yep.
But I'm not going to, people will do, they go every year, 4 or 5 times a year. Are you that kind of, would you go to Disney?
Yeah, we went to Disney as adults like a dozen times.
Well, we've been 4 or 5 times and
we don't have children. We went as adults.
Yeah.
We were going for ourselves. But we were riding, we liked the rides. I
Yes.
liked the cleanliness of the parks. I love that it's that artificial, perfect space.
Yes.
It was something that
Disney does a great job as far as the culture, the environment, and the community. Like, so I love Disney. I'm just not, I don't love it. Like
the way
some
everybody else loves it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get a season. I'm not going to get the season pass for it. I'm not going to. I probably wouldn't go 6 times a year. I feel like there's so much more in this world to see.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it is magical.
Mm-hmm.
It is magical, and it is cool. I mean, I went on my honeymoon to Disney, and we had a great time to go as an adult. And I just don't.
We were like, what are all these children doing here? They're ruining Disney. What? They're ruining Universal. And I will say that every time we went back, it really was the Universal Islands of Adventure, that whole side. So I will say that we didn't do Disney World. We didn't do Epcot. Actually, the Kingdom.
Oh,
Magic Kingdom.
Oh, Magic Kingdom. Yeah.
I didn't do that.
Did you do Animal Kingdom?
We never went to Animal Kingdom because
It's cute, but
we went to Busch Gardens.
Mm.
I liked that. And I did Discovery Cove. I swam with the dolphins.
Oh yes, we did that. That was cool.
That was very cool. But then I felt bad.
I know.
I was like, oh, they're probably really smart and they want to be here.
It's hard to see I like SeaWorld, but it's hard to see like the orca whales and you see their fin over.
Yeah.
And they're actually in their babies that are born in captivity, their fin is humped over too.
Yeah, I know, and that's the part that makes me sad.
I think they're well taken care of, but still, well, hopefully, but.
Well, it would be like, I don't like caged things. That's the part that makes me feel bad. It's like, I don't want to be in a cage. I don't want to be trapped to a desk. I don't want to be.
That's my problem of being in the car for too long.
That's my road trip problem too. I think I have 3 hours of a road trip. We were both joking this week that we're not road trip people. You were listening to Lisa and Robyn on the mic on 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. You can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live every Thursday, 10 a.m. to noon on Eastern Standard Time. But neither one of us are road trip people. We are both plane people.
Oh, I'm down for the trip. I'm down for the trip. But we just have to do more frequent stops.
So that's the problem with me. I have to pee all the time.
I do
have a
too.
bladder the size of a Tic Tac. So everyone's going to get off the highway, get back on the highway.
Well, and you're drinking water and coffee or tea, so like diuretics and water. So it's like, well, what do you want me to do?
So then I don't drink, and then I'm all dehydrated. At 2 o'clock, I'm like, I don't feel good. It's because you didn't have anything to drink today, because you don't want to pee.
So my kids have this thing like, Mom's doing DEFCON 1. So DEFCON 1 is
we all panic and alarm.
Well, so
is that what DEFCON 1 is?
No, DEFCON 1 is I start reading road signs.
Okay.
DEFCON 2 is like when I start tapping my head against the back.
Yeah.
DEFCON 3 is when I just start laughing at everything hysterically, or making fun of okay, I gotta get that. Or I roll my window down and start waving at people to see if they'll wave back. And Chris is like, get back in the car.
People can see you.
And I'm like, wait. Yes. So we were, and I knew, one time I picked a fight with him because.
You were bored. You were like, I need something to do.
Yes, I've got a bunch of teenagers in the back. And he's like, we're an hour away from Wilmington, North Carolina. And I feel like, I'll say, hey, can we stop soon? I gotta pee. And then when he keeps driving, and I'm like, so that's always kind of my first cue. Like, hey, I'm good. I'm putting it out there. If I have to ask again,
We're wrapping up to go to the next hour.
Yeah.
Okay. We are Lisa and Robyn on the mic. We are going to the top of the hour. You're listening on WSMN, 1590 AM, 95.3 FM, and you can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live. We're going to the top of the hour. We'll see you at 7 past.
WSMN 1590. WSMN 95.3 FM Nashua. Listen, watch, and stream at WSMN.live.
USA News, I'm Ryan Daniels. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson declares a bipartisan border bill anticipated to clear the U.S. Senate is still unlikely to progress in the U.S. House. During his inaugural floor speech as Speaker, Johnson accused the Biden administration of attempting to transfer responsibility for the border crisis onto Congress.
There have been more than 7 million encounters with illegal aliens just at our southern border alone.
Despite President Biden expressing willingness to close the U.S.-Mexico border with congressional authorization, Johnson contends that such authority is unnecessary for the president. Interest rates are staying the same for now.
The Federal Reserve has decided to keep interest rates unchanged, citing improved consumer confidence and a deceleration in inflation. Following the announcement, Fed Chair Jerome Powell did express concern about persistently high inflation and acknowledged the uncertain trajectory ahead.
My colleagues and I remain squarely focused on our dual mandate to promote maximum employment and stable prices for the American people. The economy has made good progress toward our dual mandate objectives.
The Federal Reserve aims to reduce inflation to a target of 2%. They are scheduled to meet again in March. I'm John Schaefer.
Former President Trump is considering hiring a new lawyer to appeal the verdict in the E. Jean Carroll defamation case, following a New York City jury's decision to instruct him to pay over $83 million to the writer for defaming her in 2019. When he denied allegations of sexual assault in the 90s, Trump posted on Truth Social he's in the process of selecting a new law firm to represent him. An ongoing exchange of prisoners between Russia and Ukraine is in progress. Officials from both countries have reported the return of over 200 Ukrainian service members in exchange for 195 Russian soldiers. This is USA News.
Attention! This is a public notice from the Social Security Disability Helpline. If you're one of the millions of Americans who are disabled and unable to work, you may be eligible for disability benefits from Social Security. Receiving benefits is your right. If you suffer from physical or mental disability, whether you're applying for the first time or you've already been denied, we can help. We'll evaluate your situation and deal with Social Security on your behalf. Best of all, there's no fee until you receive your benefits. Remember, we only get paid if you win your case. There are many reasons and conditions that may make you eligible for disability benefits. Many of them you may not be aware of. So if you're disabled and unable to work, call now to get started with your free, no-obligation consultation.
800-362-9337. 800-362-9337. That's 800-362-9337.
Happy New Year from the Lucky Moose Casino and Tavern. Come in and experience all our new casino gaming machines. Enjoy our delicious menu, including our breakfast menu, each day from 9 to noon. We are the only casino in New Hampshire with RFI's Lucky Links machine. Be sure to visit Exit 6 off the Everett Turnpike and visit us online at luckymoosecasino.com. Be sure to join our Golden Antler Players Club.
Alltrix Primary Care, Nashua. They are a dedicated group of board-certified nurse practitioners, NPs, striving to make a difference in healthcare. They promise to make every effort to provide you with the best possible care and focus on you as an individual. As NPs, they are licensed to assess, diagnose, treat medical conditions, and prescribe medications. At Alltrix, they welcome new patients and accept most commercial insurance plans and Medicare. For those without insurance, consider Alltrix Direct, which provides all of your primary care for a small, affordable membership fee. No co-pays, no fee for service payments, and no third-party billing. Alltrix Primary Care provides unhurried, highly personalized health care for you and your family. Visit alltrixpc.com/Nashua. That's www.alltrixpc.com/Nashua. Alltrix Primary Care, changing the future of primary care for you and your family.
Are you or your loved ones in need of compassionate care in the comfort of your own home? Look no further than Heaven Sent Home Care. Heaven Sent knows the importance of personalized care tailored to your unique needs. Whether it is assistance with daily activities, medication management, or specialized medical care, our compassionate caregivers are ready to provide the highest quality of in-home care. The services provided by Heaven Sent Home Care extend beyond physical care. They also offer companionship, ensuring that you or your loved ones have someone to share stories, laughters, and meaningful moments with. Experience the peace of mind that comes with knowing your loved ones are in capable hands. Or visit us online at heavensenthomecarellc.com to schedule a consultation and learn more about the comprehensive range of services provided. Heaven Sent Home Care, where care and compassion come together.
Are you craving a delicious home-cooked breakfast or lunch? Look no further than Cookie's Diner, Hudson's favorite dining spot. But it's not just about the food at Cookie's Diner. Their friendly staff provides top-notch service, making you feel like part of the diner family. Cookie's Diner, conveniently located at 222 Central Street in Hudson. They're open Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. until 2 p.m. and Sunday from 7 a.m. until 1 p.m. Call-ahead orders are always welcome via DoorDash or by calling 603-880-3424. Cookie's Diner, where great food and fantastic service come together.
The views and opinions of the following show do not reflect those of WSMN, its owners, and/or associates.
Lisa and Robyn are two fun friends diving deep into conversations where nothing is taboo. They believe in eating dessert before dinner and wearing the bikini. They're allergic to labels, authority, and cheap shoes. Currently, they're launching themselves through life being the good time, bold enough to take risks and inquisitively asking, what's next? They hail from New Hampshire, but they could be anywhere dressed in cute clothes. If they had to share a tombstone, it would read, "Curiosity killed these cats." Your hosts, Lisa and Robyn on the mic.
Welcome back to the second hour of Lisa and Robyn on the mic. You are listening on WSMN, 1590 AM, 95.3 FM, and you can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live every Thursday from 10 to noon Eastern Standard Time. So when you were talking about your road trip and yelling out and then giggling at yourself.
Oh yeah, my DEFCON 4.
Your DEFCON 4?
Well, we were at DEFCON 4 and he wouldn't get out, so we ended up pulling over to Hardee's and he's like, "Do you need some food?"
Yes, probably. I definitely need food.
He's like, "Sweetheart, do you need some food? You need some french fries?" Like,
yes, I always need french fries.
And then I feel like a fool because, you know, I'm the only one in there that's acting like a 2-year-old, and, you know, I've got teenagers that are like
behaving better than you. But that's because they're really probably glued into their phone or something.
Well, they've been good. I mean, my kids have been traveling in car seats from New Hampshire to Virginia. You know, we had books on tape, we had videos, and we had all kinds of, like, board games. So my kids love
the car.
They love the car, and they're all down for it. And it's funny because Noah, our son's friend, Chris will live and die by his GPS, and I'm like, no, this isn't the right way. We literally have been trying to get to 81. So, you know, 81 goes further and further away from New York City as you go down because it goes way west. Well, I'm like, "Sweetheart, isn't that Manhattan right there?"
That big city?
I literally, like 2 blocks over, I'm like, we are not in the right spot. So they harass them. So Noah from the third row says, "Hey, Chris, I think this is our second time across the GW." And, you know, tolls across the George Washington and the Tappan Zee, it's like $15 each way. Yeah. So we spent like $90. No, 90 because we went over both twice. Anywho, I digress.
I am not a a car ride person. I think when we were 18 and we were going to Montreal, everybody's like, yeah, we're going to get on a bus for 8 hours. I'm like, I'm not getting on a bus for 8 hours. I have a job. I'm going to get a plane ticket. And so I got one other girl to get a plane ticket with me because she also had a job.
How old were you?
18.
Yes.
And we were like, we're flying. We were
Yes.
in Montreal in 45 minutes, drinking at 9 o'clock in the morning. You know, everyone didn't arrive till 7 o'clock at night. I had already been vomiting in my room at that point. You know? Friday was done for me. But that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is to fly. You know, I was
Hey, the winners have been here drinking for like 6 hours. Where you guys been?
But I did do the bus like 2 years later or 3 years later. It was horrific. And I was like, I don't even know if I can do the bus back. First of all, I'm not a bus person.
Yeah.
All lurching around, and so I'm more of a plane person. And that was one thing I think that ruined
First
me.
class. Don't be specific.
Oh yes, I'll be specific. I should travel more first class. Is what the answer is.
Oh, well, there's something about being, you know, herded in the back of the plane, and you're all just sitting there.
I
All
fly Southwest, and there's really no first class in
Oh, that's
Southwest.
true.
So to me, I love Southwest actually. I have
Yeah,
always
Southwest.
enjoyed flying with them because they act like, let's have some sense. Put your bag up, sit down, let's go, let's go, let's go. You know, they're not allowing everyone to meander and take their time. They're like, no, this is a bus schedule, let's go.
Yes.
And so I really appreciate that about Southwest. And I
get
really
that.
haven't been delayed or bumped on Southwest, knock on wood.
I don't mind Southwest for like short flights. Like for Florida, that's
Yes,
perfect.
Southwest, yeah.
Although, and it's kind of funny, I know your mindset is, it takes about the same amount of time to fly to Dallas than it does to Florida. By the time, it's still direct, but it takes, well, it's almost 4 hours. But I feel like I'd rather be a little bit more comfortable. I don't know why it feels longer. Why are they so loud? I don't know. Shh. Zip it.
Oh, I just busted my buttons. Oh my
I had a point I wanted to say.
Oh, let me tell you about skiing.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about skiing.
So I've got my new skis.
What kind of skis did you get?
I don't know. I have K2 boots. Elon.
Oh, yeah,
skis?
Elon. I don't even know what mine are right now.
ELAN?
Yeah.
Okay. And they have a left and a right. So that's a very specific thing. And
wait, how do you know which one's left and which one's
they
right?
say right on it.
Oh.
They write the word right on it.
Oh.
And that has
Wow.
something to do with the edges, which is fine.
Yes.
I'm very happy with that. And they're blue. I'm very happy. I'm happy with all my gear. I'm happy with my boots. The boots felt amazing. I've never had boots feel amazing. So I go and I meet Walter, who's my instructor, at 9 a.m. And I am decked out. Like I have the ski bag to carry things. I look like I am a professional. So the woman on the bus says to me, "Look at you," and I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing." Anyone who's
am
dressed
president
this way,
of the Ski Bunny Club. Hello.
so I have to tell her, "No, I'm going to get a lesson." She's like, "I'm going to get a lesson." So we start talking on the bus, the shuttle over there. So I meet Walter, and he's like, "Go put all your stuff on. Like, why are you standing here with none of your stuff?" He's like, "Go put it on in the lodge." I'm like, I'm gonna walk everything back over here. So I come back
You don't
over.
want to see my guts. You don't want to see my bling.
And I just thought, I hope this is a drinking man, because he's been teaching little children who are listening, and I'm a 51-year-old with bad habits, bad skiing habits. So I told him, I said, my only goal is I want to ski. I don't want to snowplow. I've only ever snowplowed. That's the only skiing I've done is the pizza. I want to do French fries. You know, the pizza. I want to do French fries.
Oh, that's funny. You never heard French fries, but that makes sense.
Yeah, French fries pizza.
Yes.
French fries pizza.
Dude, I taught my kids pizza.
Everyone teaches pizza, right? But then your legs just get toasted, 15 minutes into pizza.
Yes.
So he was great. I feel so confident. 90 minutes of doing this. I feel fantastic. I meet John. I go up to the green trail. I get halfway down, and I'm in a hot panic. I get 3/4 of the way down, and I have to have a stern talking to myself because I'm like, take off the skis and slide on your butt and get down this mountain. But I'm like, no, you're not giving up. Get down the mountain.
Oh.
Get down the mountain and go back on the bunny trail. Your job is to not quit. Yes. Get down this mountain and go back on the bunny trail, and that's what I did. So I only did one green run, which was horrible. I did a falling. I fell to such a degree at one point that I was like, which leg is on top? Because no matter which leg I try to lift, It wasn't the leg that was on top because my skis were entangled. And it was just, so then I go back to the bunny trail and I go up and down the bunny trail, happy as a clam, up and down the bunny trail, but I ended up skiing for 8 hours.
Wow. No, so do
I
they
had
have
it worked out for 2 months.
Do they have a chairlift or
Yes.
they have a magic carpet for
No, they did chairlift.
For the bunny trail?
For the bunny
That's
trail.
awesome.
At Brentonwoods.
Oh, I've never skied Bretton Woods. We did zip lining there and wanted to come up, but
So yeah, they have a little bunny trail. We met Gary. Gary was a great skier, but he had surgery, so he had fallen down the mountain, and he's like, I don't have enough core strength to come down the mountain. So he came over to the bunny trail and was on the lifts with us. And he said, I paid $140 for this ticket and I'm skiing, even if it's just up and down the bunny trail. And I was like, think of how many runs you do when you go see your friends. Be like, I did 16 runs. They were like,
What? That's right.
But the next day...
and I can drink.
But the next day I could not move. Like, because I skied for so long. And I had to laugh because it was so ridiculous. I looked like, what's the name of that movie with Will Smith, the alien movie?
Oh my God, Alien? I don't know.
Oh, nuts.
Oh, I'll look it up.
We'll have to look it up.
Keep talking and I'll look it up.
So the alien comes down and gets in Edgar's body and says he needs sugar, and he walks, but because he's a big alien in a human body, he's all jerky.
Independence Day.
No, not Independence Day, the other one. With, these are the...
Alien versus Predator?
No.
Oh.
Men in Black.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
And you remember when Edgar wearing the Edgar suit?
Yes.
And the alien's going like this as he's walking? That was me for 3 days. Going out in public, I had to go, I went skiing.
Or you go down the steps and you're like,
I couldn't go down the steps. I had to go down a step, go down a step, go down a step. Could not.
Side step, side step, side step.
I was in so much pain. And I
remember that sore.
Yeah, it was.
So when I taught my kids, I don't know, they never had a professional lesson, but so I would teach them to do, like, when they're doing their pizza, I would just tell them to put all your weight, put both hands on this knee, and then put both hands on this knee, because it's getting them to shift their weight, and they don't have to dig in and do that plow so hard.
Yes.
I would just say, go this way, go
I
this
might
way.
take that.
And then so when you start doing it, and then when you get more comfortable, you can start being more and more upright, but you've got the concept out. Because I was like, how the heck am I going to teach these 3-year-olds?
Yeah.
Do this.
Yeah,
Do that.
No, that makes perfect sense, and that's what I was not doing. So I see Walter later, and he's like, how did it go? And I said, you know how you said stay off the green today? I went on the green.
I didn't listen.
I didn't listen, so start with I didn't listen. Step 2,
I failed.
I could not switch, because what he was teaching me was you only do pizza to change your body weight to put the downhill ski, change your downhill ski, change your downhill ski, change your downhill ski. And I said I was not shifting my weight, and then I was having to pick up my leg to get it onto the other side. And he's like, you never pick up your leg. No one ever skis on one leg. No skiing on one leg. And I'm like, I know. And I knew I wasn't supposed to do that.
Duh.
But I couldn't think of anything else. He's like, my knee wasn't tracking. So that's what he was telling me to do. He's like, because you didn't track your knee. What about tracking your knee? I'm like, oh.
Yeah, so I think I think that shifting the knee helps you. I mean, shifting and physically putting your hand over it does shift your weight.
Yes.
But it kind of is that whole
shifting
physical. I'm going to move my body this way.
And when another tip that he taught me was, which was really good, was when you are pedaling a bike, when say your right leg is going down, when you want your left leg to go down, you're not putting as much weight on your right leg because your left leg would compete with your right leg.
Yes.
So you have to lift your weight off of your right leg to put it down. So I was thinking bicycle, but then I forgot about tracking my knees. But then I ended up on the bunny trail, and I was very happy on the bunny trail.
So
but we're going this weekend.
So where are you gonna go to the top?
I don't think they have a bunny trail at
Well, they have a little tiny magic carpet right there.
Oh, they do?
On the right, and then they have a little 2-seater. In those, they have Mountain Road, which is pretty easy.
Okay, so I intend
to
ski on Saturday.
So we used to live right down the road from Crotched, and the kids growing up, we had a season pass there. The thing that I don't like about Crotched Mountain is when you take the quad up, the main.
Remind me about the quad.
the main lift, when you get to the top, you only have 3 choices. It's a blue and 2 blacks. In the way that the mountain sits, the 2 blacks usually have a lot of, like a bald spot of ice all the way down. Hate it. It's not terrible, but it's just a little bit of steep, so your only other choice is to go right. So you come down and around like this, and when you get into this turn right here, it creates almost like a trench where people kind of like ski the side of it, and there's rocks right there. They kind of ski that, and it kind of scoops it out and makes it a bowl. All the snow gets pushed off of it, and then here's the mountain. You have this deep V that you have to ski between, and it makes me nervous every time. And all the snowboarders stop right there out of the curve. Then once you clear that, it's opening because there's a black diamond that comes right down from that lift. So you got to watch these people coming. It's just such a bad intersection.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's not worth it to me.
So you just go green?
There is no green from that point.
Oh, okay.
It will dump on, so right there, then you can go and get on I think a green this way, or you can go down, it's a black. You can keep going, and it'll take you over to the other side of the mountain. And then there's another one there that's green, but it's the park.
Oh, the snowboard park.
Yeah.
Terrain park.
So there's a lot of snowboarders on that side.
Yeah. So I have so much confidence with Walter. When I go with John, I get on the quad. Now, I've been going just 2 of us on the 4-person lift. So now there's 4 of us. I fall immediately off the chairlift.
Wait, are you in the middle? Are you in the
middle?
middle?
No, I'm on the end.
Oh, well, at least you're on the end.
I'm on the end. I don't know what happens. I completely fall directly off the chairlift. I have to have the guy who watches come out, and he goes, "May I help you?" I go, "Yes," because I can't get out. I'm like crumpled.
You see me wallowing down here?
He takes his arms like forklifts underneath my armpits, picks me up, and shoves me off. I'm like, "Thank you." And then that was the beginning of the eroding of my confidence that I just built for 90 minutes. And then I'm like, "Get me back on the bunny trail." But we are going to Crotched Mountain this Saturday. Midnight Madness.
8 to 12.
8 to 12. It's got a DJ and fire pits and $10 rentals, and we're super excited to go. There was going to be 8 of us, but now there's only going to be 6 of us.
Who's the other couple?
Amy and Lenny.
Oh, I thought Amy and Lenny were coming. Who's the other people?
They were. But then Lenny tried to ski at Nashua yesterday and said he's more of a beach person.
Get it.
So I was trying to lure them just to like hang by the fire pit, but I don't know. I don't know that they will.
Maybe they'll come.
We'll try. We'll get them. We'll try. My skirt is unbuttoning.
Let it show. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Hey, so rejection. I do want to get to the hole shape, God-shaped hole. I was listening to a TED Talk, and he said the greatest damage rejection causes is usually self-inflicted. Just when our self-esteem hurts the most, we damage it even further. So I was just thinking about that.
And how do we damage it further? Because we label ourselves?
Well, I think so. We perceive the rejection, or the rejection happens to us. But how we internalize it and how we process it, then that hurts that's where we are self-inflicted. Because we're trying to decipher what that person meant. Maybe they didn't mean harm, maybe they didn't, but however it came to a wound to us. Why do we allow it to become a wound? That's where I think that's where we have the power to change how we look at it.
Well, it probably starts because we're so young and we rely on adults. And if we feel rejection at all from the adults, then we go into a school environment, and then there's kids, and kids can be mean. So then there's rejection there. So it's probably our perceived rejection probably begins really young.
Well, I was reading, one of the things that I read, it says that, we're hardwired to detect rejection as a way of protection. It's the same, whether it's safe or harmful judgment. And so I think that those are good. Our brain is wired to a threat.
Mhm.
And so maybe rejection comes across as a threat.
Mhm.
Something that's harmful.
Mhm.
Maybe that's a better way to say it, just from harmful. But I thought that was interesting, like, because we allow it to hurt us even more. You know, when you're already feeling bad about something, it's easy to pile on other
Yes.
things too. Well, you know, I'm feeling bad about eating those 4 cookies and
So I'll
you
have
know.
French fries and ice cream.
Yes. Well, I probably shouldn't have those Raisinets or the Junior Mints.
Yeah.
Or that little piece of brownie that I torn off to walk on the way back.
Right.
But we kind of pile it on and pile it on and pile it on.
I'm an expert piler.
Me too.
If you want piling lessons, you just come to me. I can give you piling lessons.
So it talks about, like, so in that book, she's talking about healing our shadow sides. And when she was like shadow sides, I was thinking about those are our wounds.
Mhm.
Those are maybe our vulnerable spots that when we're triggered, that's the place we speak from.
You know, earlier you were saying we all have that feeling of not good enough.
Yeah.
Is rejection just a confirmation that we're not good enough?
Well, it certainly feels like it. I don't know if it's the truth, but
Yeah, I don't know if it's the truth either, but do we then say, oh, that part of me that didn't think it was good enough, oh, this confirms I'm not good enough. This confirms I'm not good enough.
yeah. Yeah. Because I think whether we are consciously or unconsciously, I think we're always seeking validation in
Mhm.
something. And, you know, Chris has said it a few times. Rarely do we rise to our goals, but we fall to our standards.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you think about when we're trying to level up, whether we're trying to, level up in whether it's our fitness, whether it's our mindset, whether
We're doing something at our job.
Yeah, whether it's your health, it's far easier to stay comfortable and miserable, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's the lie that we tell ourselves that
Mhm.
I'm happy or I am complacent and
Or it's too hard. I can't. It's too hard. I wouldn't be
Yes.
able to. I don't have time. All of that. All of the excuses.
yeah. It goes back to what we're saying, I think, about fear. We fear the unknown more than we do
Oh, absolutely.
our dream.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the fear of uncertainty. I don't know if that's going to be good or bad.
Yes.
Uncertainty
Yes.
is groundlessness under our feet, and I don't think we like to feel groundlessness. I think we like to feel that we're on firm ground, that we know where this ground goes. I think that's why certain elements some people don't like. Like, a lot of people don't like the ocean. A lot of people they don't mind a pool, but they don't like the ocean because ocean is complete uncertainty. It's Mother Nature at her badassery.
Yes.
And you are nothing compared to the ocean.
Well, yeah, I mean, it can make you feel small and insignificant, and it feels like, well, you know.
And because sometimes if you're in like waves, you can be tooled really quickly.
Well, my children can attest to this. You know, unless it's clear water, like Caribbean water,
Mhm.
I usually don't like to. It's taken me years to get into the Atlantic Ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Is I don't like stuff touching my feet.
Mm-hmm. That's why I don't like lakes. So
Yeah, I don't like
Newfound Lake is a very clean lake.
Yes, that is.
And
Deering
that's-
reservoirs are clean
is
one
it
too.
really? Okay. So I'm not a big lake person because I don't want kelpie type stuff touching my legs. I think sea monster
Like a big old turtle.
or an eel or something, like, I want no part of that.
Yeah, we were at Horace Lake years ago, and we had our wetsuits on. And a friend of mine, she was training for a triathlon, so I was like, "I'll go swimming with you." Boy, that is the worst thing to do. Is do not wear goggles in a lake. I kept thinking, man, and she's like, "Oh yeah, there's a big old snapping turtle that lives down here in this cove," and I'm like, you know what? I don't want to say. Those are the things where I like to be ignorant. Like if I'm gonna swim, I just want to close my eyes and paddle.
Flail around.
This is not a snorkeling adventure, man. I don't want to see what I'm swimming with. And I don't.
Are you a water skier?
Yes, I used to be. God, I haven't skied in a long time. I haven't water skied in a long time. But yes. And I had a bad experience. I was coming across I had gotten out of the wake and I was coming back into the wake, and just about, you know, when you get over that surf, that first thing when you're in that white
the
track.
churn, you're in the
yeah.
churn.
Yeah, I was coming over that, and it was a dead fish, and it caught my skis and just sent me rolling head first. Man, face planted, and my whole
Water up the nose
yes.
for days.
Yeah, and you're still kind of skidding across your forehead, across the water. And I'm like, let go, let go, let go.
Yeah. Well, they tell you, like, hold on. That's the first instruction.
Yes.
Because if you don't hold on enough, you'll never get up. But then if
grip.
you're not going to be up, let go. Two distinct things. Hold on and let go simultaneously.
Yes. Yes. Why were we talking about that? I had a point to it.
I don't know. We digressed.
Bunny trail.
Right, bunny trail. Get me back on the bunny trail.
Might have been a rabbit hole. Oh, rarely do we size. So we get what we allow. In stepping outside of your comfort zone, people are, you know, am I okay to just settle for average? And there's nothing wrong with settling for average. So what do you want for yourself? And I think that...
Well, sometimes I think the constant striving can be a problem too. If constant striving sometimes erodes joy in the now or happiness in the now, because now is not good enough because you're looking for the next thing. Like if I had done a great green ski run, but if I was like, well, I want to be on the blue, well, I couldn't have just had the time to enjoy the green, which I didn't enjoy.
Right.
Like that's just like an example of something and constantly striving, because I'm a striver and I have to I'm constantly walking that line of being okay that you're still striving. Like they're two different things, because I know some people who are fine with whatever, and I'm not that person. I'm not fine with whatever. I want, you know, I want there to be 3 light bulbs, not 2 light bulbs.
Right.
I want, you know, there's always that it could be a little bit better, it could be a little bit better, and I like that about myself, but if that part goes unchecked.
See, I'm like that too, and I feel like I'm also a perfectionist. And so the perfectionist in me has to be kept in a closet.
Yeah.
Because then I will be like, okay, I'm just striving for perfection. And it's not to say there are some people that just want to have a calm, peaceful life. They don't care about wearing poofy and
finding the perfect shoes to go with the poofy, or doing this, like stepping, like I always consider it as like, if this could be the level, I still want to be right above the level.
Yes. Yes.
So I call that striving.
Yes. But as long as you're enjoying the process and you're consciously aware that you know that that's what you're doing. But so I think that people will, you know, fear is our biggest sticking point for growth and for where we want to go, because we're not sure, like, okay, I know it's going to require change.
And I'm not up to the task.
Well, I do. I think it is, because they know, you know that. So saying you want to be an entrepreneur, and a lot of people think, oh, I have a good business idea, or I wish I owned my own business. How many people never do it? Because if you're being completely honest with yourself, if you state, why am I not doing it? And it's because the hell that I'm living in right now, you know, answering to somebody else, working 80 hours a week for somebody else, and, you know, only getting, you know, 2 weeks vacation time. You know, I've been with the company for 30 years and I only get 2 weeks vacation. You know, we accept that level of suffering that we see as suffering. Because then on the other hand, well, I'd like to start my own business and I'd like to travel and do all of these things. Well, why don't you? I think that we don't do it because we're afraid that we don't want to change. It's going to require us to change.
And we don't feel good enough.
And we don't know how to change. Or it's scary because what will we become? And to my way of thinking, like, you could only be better. You can only be better. We start thinking about, well, money is a roadblock. You know.
Time is a roadblock.
Time is a roadblock. You know,
skills are a roadblock.
Age. Well, I'm too old to do that now. Are you kidding me? One of the ladies that I admire She's a friend of my mom's in Wilmington. Her husband, she's late 80s. I think I've talked about her before. She's an artist. You walk in her house, she has got, like, from the whole wall, floor to ceiling, in all these funky, awesome, amazing frames. There's no flow or order to it. It's just things, and most of them are her paintings that she's painted. Her husband used to work on Wall Street and did very well. He died when she was a young bride, and she didn't know how, she knew how to sew. So she opened up a bridal shop. And so she opened and did like tailoring and alterations and grew into, and she had over a $2 million business back in the 90s for a woman in New York City. That was, but she's in her 80s. She got remarried when she was 86.
Wow.
87. And I was like, wow. And she wears beautiful shoes. She has a Saab convertible, and when she goes out, she has curly blonde hair. She always she's from Maine originally. Now she's in Wilmington, and when she goes out, she puts the top down and she wears her Boston Red Sox baseball cap, and she's got like a little flirty, fun dress on, and this woman has lived outside of the box her whole life. And that speaks to my heart, because I want to be free to explore what I like, what I want. And part of this is that exploring it.
Yes.
And so I admire that. And I also understand that.
How do you think she dealt with rejection?
Well, she probably said
she just ignored it?
She said a wordy dirt and kept on moving.
Yeah.
But so she spent time in New York. So I think that just being in the North kind of toughens your skin a little bit.
I do think that too, because
determination.
Growing up, everyone made fun of everybody.
Yes.
Everyone made fun of everyone. There wasn't anyone who wasn't made fun of. So a little bit of that, you could take it and you could give it.
Yes.
Allowed you to live in the space where nothing was permanent. Like, I have a really good zinger for you today, but tomorrow you're going to get me.
Yes.
Like, it was always that state of flux.
Yes.
Where you didn't live in one state too long.
Yeah, that's true. When I was a patient, at the Looney Bin, when they let me out.
So sometimes my hair in the morning, I feel like a mental asylum patient. Like, don't let me be seen in a robe with this hair, because it's curly and it just does its own thing.
I just escaped, man.
I just escaped. Don't put me back, man. Don't get the white van.
Oh, yes. So the God-shaped hole.
Yes.
What was your definition of a God-shaped hole?
I think when I looked it up, they were saying that religion is so easy to absorb because we have this hole in our heart, and that the religion is the perfect meaning for that space. But I think we talked about this a little bit last week. I lost my faith in God when I lost my father. I was very angry at losing him and angry at God and like all of that stuff. But then I came back to God when John's grandmother died. But during that space, I was still looking for faith. I was still looking to fill that missing piece where, even though I was so questioning of my religion. So I grew up Roman Catholic in a Catholic church, a Catholic school, and questioning everything. Why this and why that and why this and why that? And I don't agree with this. I don't believe in purgatory. I was like, I'm not believing in purgatory. I don't believe that babies go to purgatory. I was creating my own religion at the time. So even though I had that, when I said I was completely dropping it, I was still constantly trying to fill it.
Yes.
I was spiritually trying to connect, and that's where I would read about animal spirits and the Indian traditions, and there's a lot of Native American, different types of tradition that they believe they're one with the world and one with the Creator. They believe they're part of that, and I really liked that. I read about Buddhism, I read about Judaism, and I really liked the Sabbath. I like the idea that for 24 hours the rest of the world falls away, and you're focusing on your faith, you're focusing on your community, you're focusing on your family and like that was. And I grew up before
the things
the
that are
blue law.
important.
I grew up with the blue laws, so Sunday there was no business on Sunday.
Yeah,
you always got together on Sunday.
Virginia's still like that, or North Carolina was like, some of the retail stores don't open till 11, and you're like, what?
Yeah, but I think that's good because that doesn't mean somebody doesn't have to go to work.
True.
On Sunday, so that they can be with their family.
I don't do Black Friday shopping because of that. I mean, I try not to shop on any holiday if I don't have to. But we I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, but when you ask me what it means to me, there is no denying, in my opinion, that people search for meaning and purpose in their lives. And if they don't have meaning and purpose, they have a feeling of being lost and unhappiness settles in. And I think all kinds of bad thing happens. Like I think of the movie Fight Club.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
All Jack, the main character, has to do from turning to Tyler Durden is accept Marla Singer. Because he wants to, and when he doesn't, he creates Tyler Durden.
Yeah.
Right? Because all that we had to do to stop the buildings from burning down and the space that whole thing could have been averted by connection and love.
Yes. So what I was thinking about too is, instead
but I think they got that way, just to interrupt you, sorry.
Yeah.
I think they got that way because Jack says, I don't know, I feel like a grown boy. How could I have a woman in my life when I'm not a man?
Well,
so I think that's part of the meaning and the purpose.
Yeah. Well, part of the that book I was talking about, Fathered by God, in the very first chapter, it talks about that and how, there's no rite of passage anymore for men, from boys to become men. And he said, we're all just grown-up boys. We're boys in men's suits. Because we didn't give them the tools to handle their emotions other than anger and kill. Killing means, you got to be tough and you got to be strong because it's your job to go out and hunt and gather. So you got to be tough, and killing that way is, you have to have a level of strength to block that stuff out, because I don't know how many times I could kill Bambi without feeling guilty, and I know it's feeding my family, but still, we don't teach them any other emotion, how to deal with any other emotion other than anger or aggression. And then we're shocked, like, what did you expect?
A long time, anger was an immediate emotion for me because I used it as a motivator. If I was angry, I could take action.
Yes.
So as a female with limited testosterone, if I had that as my first one, you add testosterone into the mix, and I think just chemically, that's an easy one. To add. But I think anger has its purpose, but you can't live angry because then you just burn out.
Yes.
I think all of the emotions have their time and place, and they have their purposes, but we can always go to one habitually.
Yes.
And we can live in one. That's another thing I think too. Like I was realizing lately, and I don't know if I'm doing this for myself or if I'm doing it as much for other people, but find myself saying to adults, okay, get ready, we're going to have fun. We're going to have a good time. And just like I do with my 4-year-old and 5-year-old nephew, I'm here, what are we going to do? We're going to have a good time.
Yes.
We're gonna, let's prep what's going to happen. We're not crying, we're not we're not doing it, we're having a good time.
You're setting an intention, and it talks about in this book, and there's so many books that I've been reading, and it's like, I don't intentionally search it out.
But they just keep coming in?
Yeah, they just happen to keep coming to me. Like you suggested that one about the War of Art, and I'm like, I love that book for so many different reasons, but it is aligned with every single thing. Jordan Peterson, the series that you had sent to us, Joe Dispenza's books, that it said to this, I go back, the 4 agreements, the 5 people that you'll meet in heaven, and like all of these have the same kind of a thread going through it. So I'm like, wow, that's thumping me on the forehead. I got to pay attention to this. And what you were saying, that God-shaped hole, it's that a longing in our heart, that I said something that's longing in our heart for something that's outside of ourselves.
Oh, yes, beautiful.
So if you think about it,
And
like,
I can get that in nature.
yes, well, but so then you think about, we keep attaching God to it, which is okay if you believe in God, but if people don't, people get offended, and then I feel like then they don't hear the message if you say God, if you say a higher power, or your source, your energy. So listening to that, and then you talk about here, the reason why we have resistance. Talk about our last show. The reason why we have resistance, it's because the universe is tapping you on the shoulder. We have addictions, we have depressions, we have anger and anxiety and fear, all of these negative things tapping us on the shoulder to say, hey, there's something internally that's not balanced. There's something that you need to. And we use all of these outside sources to say, oh, I'm just going to heal this, or I just want to numb out from that. I don't want to think about this.
I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to do this.
And it keeps bumping you until you actually are going to say, hey, wake up. Because I also believe that when you said, what's your purpose? You know, you said you were getting stuck of, you know, when Chris would ask you, what's your purpose? I truly believe everybody's purpose is to know their higher self. Is to be aligned with your highest self, is to living up to your greatest potential is a different way to say it.
Yeah.
And so you think about it, so take the Indians and their culture, take all the different religions, they all call it something different.
But they're all referring to the same thing.
Right, but if you think about the earth, Mother Nature, and I was thinking the other night, one of my random thoughts I wrote down, if God is energy, or the higher power is the energy. The universe has energy. We've felt it. Think about, and the earth has energy. It's made of energy. Think about the storms, hurricanes, tsunamis. That energy is way more powerful than we can, and that energy can destroy us in any given moment. And we always seek, whether we go to the beach or whether we seek nature, bird watching, however, a friend of ours tells us to go outside and ground, and it's connecting, maybe it's connecting to that energy.
Maybe.
What if it's connecting to that energy and using that? So if we are acknowledging that earth, space, weather, trees, our environment is energy, we're created from that energy. So doesn't that make us connected to all of those things? And just coming from, like, that was like, to me, that was really cool to think about, like, what if it is true? And so it doesn't matter, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you call it. It's just recognizing that that puts me in a position to know myself better, an awakening, or your journey, like, well, I say your higher self, to living up to your fullest potential. And so, yeah, I want to color outside of the lines, and I do want to, I want to live outside of the box, because I think magic happens outside of the box.
You are listening to Lisa and Robyn on the mic on WSMN, 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. You can watch, stream, and listen every Thursday from 10 to noon on WSMN.live, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live. So I love what you're saying. I think that spiritual yearning also has the feeling of not being not connected, right?
Yes.
It's, here is everything, and where is my place within all of this?
Yes.
And I'm a person who believes that animals have consciousness. I know there's some scientists who says they don't. We learned that plants and trees have consciousness. I talk about that psychic book where they were the gentleman who created the lie detector test. put the electrodes on a plant.
Yeah.
And went to set it on fire, and the plant had enough energy to move the lines. Then he cut the plant in half, took half of that same plant, moved it into another room, did the same experiment where he electroded both of them, and tried to set this plant on fire, and that plant alarmed. So the idea that of we're even if you don't feel connected, we are, because your actions affect others.
Right. So it goes back.
The whole line.
It goes back to what I said in the very first thing of the book. We create, when we are separated from that source, we create chaos. We create dissension and separation.
Or we're in chaos.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It creates anxiety. It creates all of these things. And so, what did I say? I said it last week when I said, "What if our soul was our muse?"
Yes.
So what if you say the muse versus the ego? Because the ego is in our head. And I know we're going to run out of time.
And the ego hates rejection.
Yes. So in here, she's talking about, and I just want to read them really quickly. Ego fears love. Staying in the shadow releases the ego from taking full responsibility of itself. It's kind of like that saying, well, I really want to be an entrepreneur and I don't want to be stuck in this 9 to 5 and I don't want to be somebody else's boss. But do you really? Because you're not willing to lay down, that's the ego saying, hey, are you sure you want to do that? Because you might get uncomfortable. It's most comfortable in insecurity, intolerance, and separation. Because that's where the ego feels, if I put you down, it's feeding those negative energy. Ego fears what it does not know or can control. We fear our divine nature more than we fear staying comfortable. I liked that. So if you think about ego, it's funny how we're talking about there's good and evil, the light and dark. There's always a battle between light and dark. What if that is
the struggle?
Ego and the muse, or ego and the spirit, however you're doing it. And we're constantly having to choose. Which one are we going to feed? And I like looking at it differently, like, wait a minute, am I operating now in my ego? Like the other night, I fell asleep on the couch and I was in a dead sleep. I don't wake up from a dead sleep, very nice person.
Like a 2-year-old disoriented.
It's more like that. But I was like, okay, that's cool. I'm going to go downstairs. And I was kind of still in a zombie. Like, I got to go turn the candles off. I got to go turn the chandelier off. I'm going to go, just go check the lights, the doors, blah, blah, blah. I'm in that. I'm a robot, whatever. And Chris is like, I'll get that. And I kind of heard it. And I don't know. I just was still in that space. And I do all my stuff. I come back up the stairs. And he's like, are you angry? Or he was like, why are you so angry? Or something. And I was like, why are you barking at me? And it was just like immediately the way he said it, it put me like, dude, you want to fight?
I was ready. I woke up ready.
I'm down. And in a minute ago, I was like, nope. I know that I'm immature in my feelings of like, I am not holding any negative space. Then I immediately, once that happened, I was immediately awake and I'm like, you know what? I'm sorry. I was trying to blame him for my part in it. Like, you know I don't wake up, you know I don't wake up from a nap nice. And then that tone, so he was like, okay, I'm just going to calm down. He got in bed and he turned over and I immediately took that as rejection. And I was like, why are you rejecting me? And I throw the covers out and get out of the bed. And I'm like, all right, I know my ego. My ego is like on high alert right now. But what I'm grateful for is I know that I'm not perfect. I have an awareness of it. And I'm like, nah, that's not how I do it. So I just had to separate. I just had to like, okay, just no more talking. Just stop. We're going to be, and I had to come back and being like,
So I think when I was
fault.
on the mountain and I was giving myself a stern talking to, I was thinking, and then when I got down and I was like, see, you did it. You got down the mountain. You didn't have to give up. You went above your skill level. That's what happens. You're feeling afraid and frustrated, but it was funny how immediately I started being frustrated with myself. And then and that's when I was like, just get back to the bunny slope. You're not past bunny slope yet. You had a 90-minute lesson. Because then there's the part of me that's like, did you think you were going from 90-minute lesson to Lindsey Vonn? Yes, I did. I saw myself whooshing down the mountain, jumping and going 85 miles an hour because I like speed. But I'm not there yet. Like,
my vision in my head, and my
reality and
belief in myself that I was going to get a gold medal on this run.
Yeah, from 90-minute lesson to gold medal. There's all kinds of work in there. There's all kinds of skill in there. There's all kinds of practice. And then Walter said, my ski instructor, he said so many ski instructors take their person to the Zephyr, I think was the name of it. He says, or a different one. He says, but I take my people to the Zephyr because the other one is a mile long. And when you don't have ski legs, a mile on skis is a long time. Yeah. The other one is shorter.
That's smart.
So, and I was like, yeah, see, because you're normal in your building.
Yeah.
But it's really funny because I had a Pilates teacher. She would be like, you're left, you're left, you're left. And in my head, I was thinking left.
Yeah.
But I wasn't responding with left. And I thought, John thinks this is just against him. Like, she's just not listening to me. If you don't take offense and let yourself know that people have something else going on in their brain that is not an offense to you.
Yes.
Like, my Pilates teacher was like, this left, this
yes.
left, this left,
Yes.
And she didn't go, and this one's not listening to me,
I always just say, oh, I'm so sorry. You meant my other right.
I told her, I'm like, I hope you drink. You're going to have to drink. You're going to have to start drinking if you're going to be teaching me. Because it was so funny how even in my own head, I'm not correct. Even in my own head, I'm saying left, and the right hand is up. Like, how old do you have to be to know your left from your right? What is going on in there? What conversation are you having with yourself that you're not hearing that? But I think of all of the voices plural.
Chris gets mad because sometimes we're driving down the road and I'm giving the directions and I'll say left.
And you point to the right.
But I'm so used to going that way with my finger, and I'm like, I know that I'm doing it, but it just happens so fast.
Yeah.
I'm like, nope, I'm not doing it. Gosh, there was something I wanted to say about the ego and something I wanted to say about the ego.
Oh, I think the ego is all the voices. We have 2 minutes.
Yes. Oh, so that's what I've been trying to say, give myself grace, is saying not to take rejection. Failure is an event, not a person. And I keep saying, failure's not and it's also using those things like that is a litmus test. So that's your metric. I just went out and explored to say, okay, I got these new skills, and let's see. We think that failure and quitting and all of these bad things are always bad. Maybe they're actually meant to be good. Maybe to say that, this is not my skill set. I'm not good at this. I'm not good at math, but I'm a hell of a baker, or I'm a hell of a decorator, or I'm great at real estate, but I'm not good at this.
Skiing.
Digging graves, I don't have to be great at everything.
Yeah.
That's what
backhoes
backhoes
stay in
are
my lane a little bit.
Right. That's what backhoes are for. So, and the other thing is, what we feed flourishes. What we starve die. And what are the things that you can think about in your life? Like, what should I pay more attention to?
What should I feed and what should I starve?
Yeah, and so when I've been thinking that, I don't want to feed my ego. I want to feed my muse. Or whatever you want to call her. Mine's Tinkerbell.
Because she's light and airy?
Yes. Well, when I was little, my dad used to call me Tink because I was a runt.
Yeah.
A skinny little runt.
That's a nice code name.
But so I think about it that's what I choose, and I'm going to set an intention every day I'm going to feed that girl.
Yeah.
I want her
get
wings.
Her French fries.
I want her wings to grow. I don't want her horns to grow.
Right. And her hooves.
Right.
Her horns and hooves.
Right.
No horns and hooves.
it's hard to get hooves on, it's hard to get cute shoes on hooves.
You are listening to Lisa and Robyn on the mic on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. You can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live. You can watch, stream, and listen on Facebook and YouTube Live. We are here every Thursday, 10 a.m. to noon time, Eastern Standard Time. We are wrapping up this second hour, and we hope to see you next Thursday.
WSMN 1590, WSMN 95.3 FM Nashua. Listen, watch, and stream at WSMN.live.
USA News, I'm Corey Myers. Ohio Republican Senate candidate Bernie Moreno told Fox News Digital that Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas should absolutely be impeached.
Well, he should have never been appointed. Grotesquely unqualified for the job. And the reality is he's